Imagine a top federal prosecutor, handpicked by Trump, suddenly thrown out of court, with a judge ruling her very appointment was illegal. 4 major criminal cases instantly shaken. This isn't just about one woman in Nevada, it's about a bigger pattern unraveling across Trump's legal empire. And what comes next could decide which cases survive and which collapse. The courtroom went silent as U.S. District Judge David Campbell delivered his ruling. Nevada's top federal prosecutor, Sigal Chattah, a Trump ally, was officially disqualified from 4 active criminal cases. Why? Because, in the judge's words, she was never legally serving in the first place. Campbell's decision was blunt. Chattah's role as acting U.S. attorney was invalid, and her involvement in ongoing prosecutions would be unlawful. That meant every motion, every decision, every argument she made inside those 4 cases was suddenly in question. It wasn't just a personal blow to Chattah, it was a major setback for the Trump administration, which had worked carefully to put her in that role. Think about the scale of this. Defendants who were once cornered by federal charges now have an opening. Their lawyers immediately argued that if the prosecutor herself wasn't legally in charge, then the cases themselves should collapse. And at that moment, 4 separate criminal cases in Nevada were shaken to the core. This wasn't a minor technicality. The judge made it crystal clear. Trump's administration had pushed Chattah into the seat without proper authority, essentially bypassing the court's power to make the appointment. And once the gavel fell, Chattah's authority was gone in an instant. So why was Chattah even in this position to begin with? The answer takes us straight into the heart of Trump's strategy. Back in March, Chattah was sworn in for a temporary 120-day stint as Nevada's top prosecutor, a routine move on the surface. But when that deadline ran out in July, things took a sharp turn. Instead of letting the court appoint a new U.S. attorney, Trump's team found a workaround. They extended Chattah's tenure under a different federal statute, a maneuver that effectively blocked the judge from making his own pick. In other words, Trump kept his ally in the seat by sidestepping the normal process, ensuring the office stayed firmly in his orbit. And Chattah wasn't just any lawyer. She was fresh off her role as Nevada's chairwoman for the Republican National Committee, a figure deeply tied to Trump's political machine. Installing her as the state's top federal prosecutor wasn't just about law and order, it was about loyalty. It was about making sure that when tough decisions came down, Trump's people were the ones calling the shots. But that strategy, to bend the rules and extend Chattah's power, is exactly what came crashing down in Judge Campbell's ruling. The very move that was supposed to secure Trump's influence in Nevada became the weakness that toppled her authority overnight. The judge's ruling didn't happen in a vacuum. Behind the scenes, defense lawyers in Nevada had been fighting Chattah's authority for months. Federal public defenders saw her appointment as a glaring vulnerability, and they pounced. In 4 separate criminal cases, these attorneys filed challenges, arguing that Chattah's very presence was unlawful. Their message to the court was simple but devastating. If the prosecutor herself wasn't legally in charge, then every decision she touched could be thrown out. It was a bold move. Normally, defendants battle over evidence, testimony, or sentencing. But this time, the target wasn't the case. It was the prosecutor herself. And once Judge Campbell agreed, those defense teams suddenly had new ammunition, the chance to argue that entire prosecutions should be dismissed. For Trump's opponents, it was a legal chess match that paid off. For his allies, it was a nightmare. One courtroom maneuver toppling a carefully placed Trump loyalist and shaking the foundation of multiple cases all at once. And yet, this wasn't the only time such a tactic has worked. What happened in Nevada wasn't an isolated event. In fact, Chattah's disqualification exposed a much bigger pattern, one that stretches across the country. Trump's Justice Department has repeatedly relied on unusual, even legally shaky methods to install loyalists into some of the most powerful prosecutorial seats in America. Take New Jersey, for example. Trump's former personal lawyer, Alina Habba, was elevated into a U.S. attorney role through the very same maneuver. But just weeks ago, a federal judge ruled her appointment unlawful, stripping her of authority over multiple cases. That ruling is now under appeal, but the damage is already done. In New York, John Sarcone was placed in a key position under similar circumstances. In California, Bilal Asili's appointment raised eyebrows. And in New Mexico, Ryan Ellison faced questions over the legality of his role as well. Each of these moves followed the same script: keep the courts out, keep Trump's people in. To Trump supporters, these appointments looked like strength, putting trusted allies in charge to fight what they see as a hostile system. But to critics, it's something far more dangerous, a quiet reshaping of federal law enforcement, bending rules to secure political loyalty at the very top of the justice system. And now, one by one, those carefully placed allies are being knocked down in the courts, leaving behind a trail of uncertainty in every case they touched. Chataw's role wasn't just about courtroom prosecutions. It carried deep political weight. Before stepping into the U.S. Attorney's Office, she had been Nevada's Republican National Committee chairwoman, already positioned as a loyal voice within Trump's inner circle. And once she gained federal power, her actions quickly revealed where her priorities lay. Reports show she pushed the FBI to investigate claims of voter fraud in the 2020 election, claims that had already been debunked again and again. But Chataw wasn't backing down. Her hope was that such an inquiry could tilt the playing field in future congressional races and place Democrats directly in the crosshairs. This wasn't the work of a neutral prosecutor calling balls and strikes. It was a Trump ally using the authority of federal law to chase political battles that had already been discredited. To critics, it was a clear warning sign that prosecutorial power could be twisted into a campaign weapon. And that is exactly why Judge Campbell's ruling hit so hard. It wasn't just a technical rejection of paperwork, it was a rebuke of an entire strategy, one that blurred the line between politics and justice. And while Chataw may be sidelined for now, the bigger question remains: how many other Trump-aligned prosecutors are still sitting in offices across the country, quietly shaping cases with politics in mind? The ruling sent shockwaves through Nevada and beyond. The Justice Department refused to comment, keeping the official line tight and silent. But that silence only fueled speculation. To critics of Trump, it looked like a smoking gun, proof that his administration had been installing loyalists illegally, bending the rules to cement control over the justice system. Democrats were quick to seize the moment. Some called it another crack in Trump's crumbling legal machine, warning that every case tied to these questionable appointments could now be vulnerable. For them, this wasn't just about one prosecutor. It was about exposing what they see as a deliberate attempt to politicize law enforcement. On the other side, Trump's allies framed the decision very differently. They claimed it was yet another example of the system being weaponized against Trump's people. To them, Chataw's removal wasn't justice, it was sabotage, a deliberate effort to strip Trump of influence in the courts. And, caught in the middle, defendants whose futures now hang in the balance. If Chataw was never legally in charge, their lawyers are demanding to know, should their cases even exist anymore? In just one ruling, the judges triggered legal chaos, political spin, and public outrage all at once. And the fight is far from over. So where does this leave us? A Trump-aligned prosecutor stripped of her power, 4 criminal cases thrown into uncertainty, and a federal ruling that could ripple across the entire country, shaking other Trump appointments just like it. What began as a simple challenge in Nevada now stands as a warning. When political loyalty collides with the rule of law, the fallout can spread fast. One by one, Trump's carefully placed allies are being pushed out of the system, and every removal raises the same question. How many of the cases they touched will survive? Supporters see a witch hunt, critics see justice being restored. But no matter which side you're on, one thing is certain. This fight is far from over. Because if Nevada is just the beginning, then the next courtroom showdown could be even bigger. And the real question isn't who gets disqualified next, it's how much damage will be left behind when the dust settles.